Greetings, fellow YouTuber. My name is Tim. Fellow YouTuber, my name is Tim. Welcome one and all to that great hour that you'll never get back, especially in this case. This is GainerWorld Live. My name is Tim Gainer. If you're here for fun, if you're here for laughter, if you're here for comedy, what the heck are you doing here? Haven't you heard by now? This is not exactly Paradise Lost. Actually, it is Lost, but not exactly Paradise, as it were. Anyway, if you are new here, first off, welcome. We're very happy to have you. Secondly, this is not your typical wacky, fun-filled, whatever you want to call it on YouTube these days. This is mainly where we all got together a few years ago. And some of us decided that we needed a place to go. We needed a place to let down our hair and just talk and just be ourselves and discuss certain things that happen to come through and on the news and whatever the case may be. And we've been doing this since April of 2021, I want to say, right when the pandemic was going strong. And so we all just get together and just say hi. And we talk about stuff. And that's what we do. And as you can see, people come in, they sit with us in the chat. If you're watching this live, yeah, you don't have to strain your neck all the way over there. Why go all the way over there when you can just go right here? We have the chat brought to you. That's the kind of caring people that we are here on this show. In fact, little sister from the CO or the FLA, depending upon what kind of mood she's in. She has popped in to say hello. And if you just popped in yourself, please, by all means. AMU City Games is popping in all at the same time to say hey. Always a good time. So, yeah, if you're new, all you have to do, get in the chat. Just tell us where you're from and expect to be verbally assaulted in every way, shape, and form. Because that's the kind of thing we do. And actually, we may be doing a lot more of that this week than you think. The reason being is because this was a slow week. Man, first off, just the fact that it's summertime. Happy second day of summer. Oh, wait a minute. Third day of summer. Yes, this is the third day of summer officially here in the great city of Chicago. I had to close the window right before we started the show, simply because it's so nice out and breezy. And of course, as it usually is the case in situations like this, right about 30 seconds before you go on the air, dogs start barking and cars start going off and you hear the police sirens and you think to yourself, yeah, that's my city. So, but hope everything is just as nice where you're at because it is summertime. It is summertime, my favorite season of the year. It really is. There's just many things I want to do. Finally got out on the driving range for the first time because the GainerWorld Father's Day Invitational will be taking place 2 weeks from tomorrow, actually. Or is it 3 weeks? Wait, let me take a look here real quick. Give you an idea how good my week is going. It'll actually be 1 week, 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks from Saturday. And the way that usually works is sons Matt and Justin, we all get together and we all head out to the golf course. And the reason we do that is because we are gluttons for punishment and we like to make each other suffer in a very huge way. We just all love the game of, let's see here. AMU City is saying, are you going to give us a little bit of Mungo Jerry in honor of summertime? Hadn't thought about that. That might be an idea. I was thinking, summertime. George and I were Gershwin, in the good old summertime. Roll out those hazy, crazy, lazy days of summer. Those days of soda and pretzel and beer. Let's see how many old people really remember that one. So yeah, like I said, if you're new to the show, please, by all means, join us. We would love to hear from you, and you can help us talk about all kinds of things that have come up. Well, not like I said, it's been a very, very slow week. In fact, you know how slow it is. We don't even have a Deadpool report this week. That is how slow it is here at GainerWorld. Okay? So yeah. And little sister, yes, Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole, 1962, man. Roll out those hazy, crazy, lazy days of summer. That's right. Speaking of old songs, we might as well just get into this. Last week, you might remember, and the speculation is really ramping up on this one. Even more so than I had originally thought it could. Last week, we had talked about how Paul McCartney had done an interview in the UK for UK TV for the BBC. And he had said that there's going to be, quote, the final Beatles song, end quote, released later on this year. And of course, it has led to tons of speculation as to what the song is going to be. Well, we're finding out a little bit more. If you know how to read between the lines when it comes to Beatles speak, you'll understand what's going on here. Paul had said originally that they had recreated John Lennon's voice using AI, artificial intelligence. And we talked about how they had attempted to do this. Let me kind of backtrack here on this particular situation. Older fans will remember that back in 94 and 95 when the Beatles released the anthology. It was a DVD set. It was a 3-album set. And it was basically all outtakes from their catalog along with the story of their lives. The idea was that the legend goes that there were a series of cassettes that Yoko Ono gave to the band. And they had taken these cassettes and with the help of Jeff Lynne, who produced these songs, cleaned up John Lennon's voice. These were demos that Lennon did in his apartment at the Dakota between like 1978 and 1980. 1978 and 1980. And they had a series of songs, and of course, 2 of them came out of the sessions for the anthology. Of course, one being Freeze a Bird, and the other one being Real Love. There was a third one that they started to work on that they kind of said no to later on because they realized that there was all kinds of technical problems with the cassette. There was like all kinds of electronic noise in the background when Lennon recorded the demo, and Jeff Lynne was having a hard time with it. George Harrison didn't necessarily like the song himself. And so they kind of scrapped it. But for years, McCartney had said, I'm going to finish this song. And recently, he came out and said that he was going to finish this, that there's going to be the final Beatles song that will include John Lennon because they, quote, recreated his voice using artificial intelligence. Okay, now, to clear it up, according to Showbiz 411, we're getting a little bit more information on this. He said that he didn't mean the actual thing called AI or artificial intelligence. This is the one that everybody's using where they're changing, they're taking people's voices and putting them in an AI and putting them, like, for example, you hear John Lennon's vocal in We Are the Champions or whatever the case may be. No, what he meant was that he and the people involved took Lennon's existing vocal from a late 70s demo, cleaned off all the rough stuff around it, and dropped it into a record that will also feature a George Harrison solo and Ringo Starr on drums. That being said, I can honestly say, without fear of reprisal, later on this year, we will get the quote, final Beatles track, end quote. It will be entitled Now and Then. This is the third song that they were working on during the anthology project. This is the song they scrapped. This is the song that McCartney said he was always going to finish. And now he's able to. And in fact, we have confirmation that this is of what is happening from Sean Lennon. Sean, who now has the control over John's estate, as Yoko has signed over, has put him in charge of the business affairs. And Yoko being 90 years old, so she's starting to wane in her years. So Sean's taking over. So yeah, he had to give permission to use the demo. It is a Lennon song, according to Showbiz 411. It is a Lennon song called Now and Then. Sean addressed this on Twitter when one of his followers asked him what the heck is going on. And Sean said, and this is a quote from Showbiz 411, pardon me. Sean said, quote, "All we did was clean up the noise from the vocal track. People are completely misunderstanding what occurred. There have always been ways of denoising tracks, but AI just does it better because it learns what the vocal is and is able to very precisely remove everything that is not the vocal." He also added to another follower in response, quote, "I shouldn't speak too much on this yet, but I'll just say the track turned out beautifully and I think everyone will be very happy." This is not any different than when they recorded Free as a Bird or Real Love. Is this a lost Beatles track? No. What this is a demo that John Lennon did at home on his piano and that the other members of the Beatles added to, just like Free as a Bird and just like Real Love, which causes me to ask, is Jeff Lynne in on this process as well? Clearly, he helped produce the first two singles. Will he produce this third? Or will he at least get credit for the work that he originally did? Or is Paul going to be completely immersed in this? Is Giles Martin going to be involved in this, since it does involve AI and the deconstruction of tracks? Clearly, though, Sean is in on the process. More than likely, so is Danny Harrison, George's only son. The bigger question, though, according to Showbiz 411, is, will this be an album of outtakes? Maybe there may be a fourth version of the anthology coming this way. Again, according to Showbiz 411, an insider at Apple would only say that so far there are no plans, but then we thought that we were done with all of the Beatles stuff. And here we go again. Not that this is a bad thing, mind you, but I personally applaud it. And especially if they're saying it's the last one. If this is the final Beatles record, I got to tell you, I'm okay with that. I really am. I'm okay with that. We've had them, thank God we've had them for 60 years. And all things must pass, as George once said. Nobody listens to Benny Goodman anymore. Nobody listens to Frank Sinatra anymore. Very few people listen to Elvis these days. It's time for the Beatles to pass as well. I truly, in my heart, as a Beatles fan, as someone who saw them for the first time on the Ed Sullivan Show at the tender age of 6 years old and has followed them all my life, if this is the final project, I'm okay with it. I really am. And speaking of that, Paul has come out in public and he has kind of he's cleared this up. He has cleared this up. He wrote on social media, according to Variety, quote, "Been great to see such an exciting response to our forthcoming Beatles project. No one is more excited than us to be sharing something with you later in the year. We've seen some confusion and speculation about it. Seems to be a lot of guesswork out there. Can't say too much at this stage to be clear. But to be clear, nothing has been artificially or synthetically created. It's all real, and we all play on it. We cleaned up some existing recordings, a process which has gone on for years." So basically, he's pretty much confirming what we all know, is that he used the same process as the last two singles. And obviously, he's using the sessions for Now and Then, because otherwise, how would you get George Harrison on it? If what you're saying is true, that there's nothing synthetic on it. So there you have that. Sir Paul went on to write, "Hope you love it as much as we do. More news in due course." Yeah. All he will say on it is, and this is all the details that we got from Paul. "It was a demo that John had that we worked on, and we just finished it up. It'll be released this year. We were able to take John's voice and get it pure through this AI. Then we could mix and record as you normally would." So, yeah. And so you can understand why there was this problem with, what people were talking about in terms of AI. I think Paul just kind of used a bad example of it. Although he is right, because this is the process that Peter Jackson used to get out conversations and little snippets in Get Back, the movie. So, yeah. So apparently, and a lot of this was sparked by, and I did not know this. I have to go look this one up. There is a song somewhere out in cyberspace called "Heart on My Sleeve." It had been used to AI had been used to fabricate a Lennon song and vocal, as Ghostwriter did earlier this year by creating the song "Heart on My Sleeve," which also featured false AI-generated vocals from Drake and The Weeknd. Boy, there's a combination for you. Drake, The Weeknd, John Lennon. But apparently it was removed from the streaming services for copyright violations. And of course, again, we got the confirmation from NARAS, the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, that Grammys will not go to songs that were AI generated. So Paul's not revealing the song titles. But sources are saying it's one of the ones from the anthology series. So yeah, So yeah, and they mention in this article from Variety that the technology that was used was a similar version of the AI technology that Peter Jackson used to isolate and clean up voices in the Get Back documentary. So there you have it. The latest on what is going on as far as the upcoming Beatles single. And we will definitely keep you abreast of that particular release. And again, what do you think about that? Are you okay with the fact that they're using AI one more time to bring the Beatles back together, sort of? Are you okay that this is the final one? Should they have let this die with the anthology? Should they have not even done the anthology? I want to know what you think about it. Let me know right here in the chat, right there in the chat, or you can comment if you're watching the replay. You can watch you can talk to me in the comments down below. What do you think about all this AI stuff? I personally think it's kind of creepy. To use, and again, if you stop and think about it, the Beatles being the innovators that they are, and if they're using the process that they used for Real Love and Free as a Bird, think about it. Did the Beatles invent AI? Think about that for a minute. They took some cassettes of a dead guy, and they brought the greatest band in the world back together. Now you got two guys in the band that are dead, and they're going to bring everybody back together again. This is the creepy part about it. Checking the tote board. Everybody's saying, Sister Judy's saying, Paul is still the cutest of the Fab Four, even as an old man. Yeah, okay. He's dead, right? Just saying. And she's, I wonder what Julian thinks about this. That's a good question. That is a good question. Julian recently celebrated his 60th birthday. And there's pictures of him and Sean together, which is, always nice. But, he hasn't said a doggone thing about anything that has to do with his father these days. MU City is saying, AI when used properly is a wonderful tool. I'm inclined to agree with that. It's just, there's a joiner that I use on Hugs that I use with my radio station, and it's just a line that says, "This is what happens when demented people play with powerful toys." AI can be something great. It can be something terrific. But as with any piece of technology, with any piece of code, if it gets into the wrong hands, so it's one of those things that has to really be properly policed and respected. AI has come so far, so fast, just in the last 6 months. And then for this to happen, I think, it can be a great thing. Little Sister's also saying, I don't really think of it as AI for this project. Natalie Cole sang with her dead father. Same thing. Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking. You've got the house music remakes of Elvis tracks. You've got the Beatles getting back together because of a cassette. You've got Natalie Cole singing with her father. There's all kinds of things that are going on, and it's not really AI. It's just, it's almost karaoke if you stop and think about it. It's an enhanced form of karaoke. Anu City is saying, when it is abused, as it has been lately, it's amusing as it is currently using its own creations for source material, making monstrosities, which spawned the statement that AI has discovered inbreeding. AI, almost incestual. Natalie Cole singing with her father. That album was unforgettable. I see what you did there. Get out of here. They weren't falsely creating a voice. It's a track that's being spliced into a track. Yeah, it's an overdub. That's basically what it is. And speaking of overdubs, one of the things that we've also talked about, one of the things that we make fun of a lot is the way, you've got these bands. I told you, 2023 is the year of the reunion, okay? On that note, I have to split. Real life beckons. Very good. All right, Amy City. Thank you, man. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for popping in. Have a great weekend. Little sister says, Abba, don't you dare mention the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse on this show. Don't you do it. We make fun of a lot of bands that are some are on their farewell tours, some are on the reunion tours. But yeah, 2023 is the year of the reunion. We know this. And, we joke about, Kiss, how Paul Stanley is using, voice tracks, how a lot of the band is using voice tracks on their farewell tour. Well, this came in today from metalsucks.net. Yes, there is a website called metalsucks.net, and I, for one, am here for it. Hellfest took place in France last weekend. And little sister saying some of the bands are arriving in wheelchairs. Yes. Well, they have to because, the oxygen tanks. You can't bring the iron lung, so you just bring the little portable unit. Present company included. Not going to lie. It ain't as easy as it used to be, I'll tell you that. But last Friday, Motley Crue closed out the second night of Hellfest. And there's been footage of it that has there's footage of it that has made its way to the internet, as you see here. And people are really getting down on Vince Neil. They're getting down on Vince Neil. Never mind the fact that he looks like me. Man looks like a small weather balloon. But people are also noticing something else. According to metalsucks.net, it seems that halfway through the set, Vince not only remembers all of the words to The Dirt, but on top of that, he's pitch perfect. And doesn't sound, according to metalsucks.net, this is their exact words, doesn't sound like he's sucking down more air than a jet engine. Wow. Tell us how you really feel there, guys. But apparently a few songs later, he's back to the husk of the performer that he's been for a while now. He sounds almost pitch perfect to the studio version of The Dirt, which is being played during this performance that you're looking at right now. And that raised some red flags. What makes it just as bad, believe it or not, what's particularly galling, they say, is around the 35-second mark. He's supposed to be the one singing, "They never found a way to break us down," but his part continues despite the mic being held at his side. Now, what you're seeing here, and let me turn this out. Listen to the crowd reaction. The crowd is booing the appearance of Machine Gun Kelly. Apparently, not too many Machine Gun Kelly fans in Crewville. Apparently, also, Tommy Lee has been using pre-recorded tracks in lieu of an actual live performance during his solo. The band denies that they're doing this, even though former guitarist Mick Mars called out the band for faking it on stage in court documents, which was submitted as part of a lawsuit against the band. So, yeah. Motley Crue. Motley Crue is on the road. By golly, by gosh. And, they are lip syncing. They are lip syncing. Don't know why. You know, if you can't do it anymore, guys, just don't do it. I mean, the money's attractive. The ego gratification is great. But if you can't do it, what's the point? I can sit down and listen to a copy of Dr. Feelgood and get the same result and probably save a hell of a lot of money. Anyway, Noreen Henry has popped in. Hey, Noreen, always good to see you. Appreciate you coming in this evening. You're missing just some of the greatest history, just some of the greatest stuff in the history of the internet. You missed a half hour of it. Hang your head in sorrow and shame. And everybody noticed you coming in late. Everybody. I normally don't like to talk politics on this show. Noreen, this is my loss. No. You've lost the greatest hour, in the half hour, in the history of the internet. Little sister is saying, happy birthday, Chris Christopherson. That's right. And don't take any shit from anyone. I don't like to talk politics on this show. Never have. Don't like to. That's not what this show is about. Never has been, never will be. That's just how it is. But I got to talk about this. Because as I said, it's summertime. It's summertime. And we all know that in summertime, a young man and a young woman's fancy turns to thoughts of beer. And the good folks at Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri, are getting ready to pour a nice cold one on this ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous controversy. If you don't know what I'm talking about one of America's favorite frosty cold beverages in the summertime. Of course, I'm talking about Bud Light. Now, little sister has a new sponsor. I wish. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light. You want to sponsor the show? I am totally down with it. Bring your advertising dollars here. Hey, internet TV, it's red hot. So you might remember that they got kind of slapped around, I guess you could say, because they, pardon me, they hired a spokesman for Bud Light, a spokesperson. And that spokesperson was, of course, transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Seen here. Proudly shown here. Go ahead, somebody say something about it. I dare you. But anyway, so what happened was this really upset a whole bunch of people. And they decided to boycott Bud Light. Now, the character of people that were boycotting this, I'm here to tell you, they, what did they do? They go to Miller Lite? What did you do exactly? Or did you buy it undercover at night? Because you know a lot. Look, I know a lot of people that get, when it gets thirsty out, it gets thirsty. And you need your taste great, less filling, if you know what I'm saying. So they went out. Anyway, the bottom line to all this is that there were boycotts, sales tanked. You know, two marketing executives who hired Dylan as a spokesperson, they got the can. So they've started a new ad campaign for this year. And Noreen is saying that's because Bud Light equals enlightenment. We'll call you Noreen. But so they have made a new summer ad campaign that they think is going to pull them right back. We have got a copy of this ad that we're going to show to you. Now, Anheuser-Busch has not paid me for this. I'm doing this just out of the goodness of my heart and to cheese a lot of people off. Watch this ad. As soon as I can find it. Where did the Bud video go? Here we go. Let's try this one. Yeah. And with a chorus in the chat of WTF. Stupid is as stupid does. So yeah, Todd Allen, an Anheuser-Busch veteran who was recently named vice president of Bud Light. I'll bet his mom and dad are proud. Said in an interview, quote, "We want to show up in all relevant occasions in summer. Backyard barbecues, stadiums, and sports venues. That's what counts. And that's what we are focused on." Using the Chic song Good Times. There's going to be an ad campaign that they say will show up on primetime broadcast TV, cable, and sports programming. Oh, yeah, you got to, okay, and little sister got to go. Later, little sister. Yeah. Anheuser is going to tap NFL players and country music stars to pitch Bud Light to the masses. They're going to take place, there's going to be a Bud Light backyard tour that's going to bring musicians to intermittent locations. And if that's not enough for you, if that is not enough for you, oh yeah, they're going to star in other ads ahead of the 2023-2024 football season. Anheuser-Busch will give away $10,000 each week to a fan, giving consumers a chance to win $100 towards their bar tab and offer rebates over July 4th weekend. So there you go. So in case you thought to yourself for any reason, Okay, if you're an investor in Anheuser-Busch and you think things are going to heck because of Bud Light, the folks at Bud Light want you to know everything is fine. Don't you worry about a thing. It'll be just fine. I'm here to tell you that everything is going to be okay. And if you give me just a second here, I had this really cool ending for this show, for this segment. And I'm not going to let it die. I refuse. Here we go. All right. We're going to do this one more time. So, take two. Let's rewind this video, shall we? So, if you think to yourself that things are going bad at Bud Light because of their mess up, the folks at Budweiser want you to know. They want you to know that everything is just fine. Everything is nice and organized, just like their stately Clydesdales. Everything is organized. You have nothing to worry about. Everything is just as it is. You have nothing to worry about. Everything is just fine. We have a new campaign. Everything is going to work just the way it's supposed to work. Why? Good times. It's Bud Light. Oh. It's beer, people. It's freaking beer. Come on. We don't like the person that you got on your beer cans. And because of that, you're going to go dry. You're going to go get into a dry drunk? Really? Although I have seen weird videos about people throwing kegs out of windows and sideswiping beer trucks. It's beer, people. It's beer. It's a beverage. Which goes into this next story, because we are segueing everything, as you can tell. And in this case, we're looking at food and drink. Oh, yeah. So we've gone into the drink. Let's go into the food for just a second. And one of the things growing up that, and this has been an integral part of my life, and I'm sure for a little while is an integral part of yours as well, especially if you're in the U.S. And that is the mainstay of any American diet. Of course, I'm talking about Oscar Mayer wieners. Oscar Mayer, which has been around forever. And one of the things that people always loved about them was Oscar Mayer wieners. Who doesn't love Oscar Mayer wieners? And of course, along with Oscar Mayer wieners was, of course, that mainstay of automotive engineering. Of course, I'm talking about the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Well, sure. After almost 100 years, about 90 years, and according to our friends at CNN,
this is CNN.
The Wienermobile is driving off into the sunset. Yes, it's true. It is true. Say goodbye to the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile and say hello to the Frankmobile. According to CNN, for the first time in nearly its century-long existence, the hot dog-shaped vehicle is changing its name. Oscar Mayer is saying that the new Frankmobile pays homage to a new recipe for its hot dogs that will be rolling out this summer. I've heard nothing about this. I've heard nothing about the fact that Oscar Mayer is changing its recipe for their hot dogs. And when I read about this morning, you can bet your bottom dollar the first thing I thought of was the new Coke debacle back in the 80s. If you don't remember that, some genius at Coca-Cola decided to change the recipe. Long story short, all hell broke loose. To the point where Coke had to bring back the original formula. So, despite the fact that they're changing the name, as you can see from this really cool picture that I got to take with the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile a couple of years ago, it looks largely the same compared to the Frankmobile. Other than a new decal and this vehicle's side displaying the Frankmobile name. That's the Wienermobile. That's the Frankmobile. All they've done was given it another paint job. Let's call this what it is. Okay? Oscar Mayer is being coy about whether or not the name change is permanent, telling CNN, quote, it's trying out to see if it cuts the mustard with their fans. You can't make this stuff up, okay? The brand's new recipe for hot dogs represents the first change to Oscar Mayer's Franks in 6 years. Customers will see refreshed packaging and taste. See, this is what scares me. Here's the scary part. Customers will soon see refreshed packaging and taste a, quote, more balanced flavor profile, an iconic beefy taste that is more delicious than ever. End quote. This is according to a press release. You guys are messing with my childhood, okay? You know, does this mean you're going to change the cheese dogs too? Which I happen to love. And I have a pack of downstairs in my fridge right now as we speak. While some competitors focused on having strong flavors on a few aromatics like garlic and or onion, Oscar Mayer has never had garlic and or onion in their. No, they haven't. While some competitors focused on having strong flavors on a few aromatics like garlic and or onion, our team worked to balance these while still keeping strong beef brothy notes throughout the dog. What does that even mean? Somebody explain to me in the chat or in the notes below what in the name of God a strong beef brothy note throughout a hot dog is supposed to entail. I don't even think. I think they're grabbing. I think they're grabbing at straws here. I think they're just making stuff up as they go along, if you ask me. But specific details about the new recipe wasn't revealed. The Wienermobile, by the way, for those of you in the know, dates back to 1936, where Carl Meyer, a young Carl Meyer, told his Uncle Oscar about a new advertising idea that was a literal marketing vehicle for the company. A literal marketing vehicle. Get it? Oscar Mayer now has 6 of these foot-long vehicles, 2 of which I have had the privilege of being inside of. These are some souped-up machines. And if one is ever in your town, you should go see it, because it really is very, very cool. I'm not going to lie to you. It's really quite cool. The inside is even neater. And what's even more amazing than that is if you ask the people, the Oscar Mayer volunteers, who are generally like college kids anyway, they're trying to major in marketing, and they've got this internship going with Oscar Mayer, so they run around with the Wienermobile, Frankmobile, whatever they're calling it this week. And it is amazing the amount of history and knowledge that these kids have on this vehicle. They'll tell you the engine size. They'll tell you how fast it can go. They'll tell you what's inside it. They study the heck out of this thing. It's really kind of cool. Oscar Mayer now has 6 of these 23-foot-long vehicles. They travel across the United States to events that include state fairs, grocery stores, and sports contests to promote the brand. It is still one of the coolest advertising things that I can think of. Here's something I'll bet you didn't know. And that is that Oscar Mayer is these days owned by Kraft Heinz. The people that give you Kraft macaroni and cheese, a.k.a. food of the gods, and Heinz ketchup. They also own Oscar Mayer. And apparently they have tried other marketing tactics to attract attention to their packaged products. It says here, according to CNN. Last year, for example, oh God, the company sold hot dog popsicles and bologna face masks that, according to them, quickly sold out. Oh, Mom, I want the bologna face mask. Oh, I want to know who the guy was that came up with the hot dog popsicle. That's what I want to know. That is exactly, I want to know. I want to be a fly on the wall when they're sitting around this sales meeting. All right, boys, we got to come up with a new campaign for this quarter. Sales are down. We have to do something about our frozen food line. Yeah. Jenkins, what do you got? Check it. Hot dog popsicles. A grown man on a salary with a large food conglomerate, a global food conglomerate at that, came up with this idea. And the people around him not only thought it was a good idea, but they executed the idea. But what I want to know, what I really want to know, Just so I'm not alone in this thinking. Are these the same people that sat around the same table, and one of them looked at the others and said, "Baloney face masks." And again, this group of people not only thought that this was a good idea, they executed the idea. Were they thinking this was going to be all the rage at Halloween? And already I'm seeing the backlash on the hot dog popsicles because as I turn here, Noreen is writing, "I want a hot dog popsicle to cool me off. I'm sure it will help my oral fixation." Which kind of gives you the idea of why the hot dog popsicle didn't really catch on all that much. I'm thinking probably around Alabama, Mississippi, they shut that thing right down. Okay, you know what I'm saying? The baloney face masks, yeah, maybe not so much. Until somebody broke out into a rash because of a heat or a meat allergy. Anyway, look for that real soon. The Frankmobile. The Frankmobile from our good friends at Oscar Mayer, who will be coming to a grocery store near you real soon. Because they usually do that. This is the summertime, and this is the time when they've got that thing on the road almost constantly. And you always almost see it in any city. So yeah, by all means, make sure that you're on the lookout for that. It is a very cool machine. It is a very cool machine. I like I said, I had the privilege of seeing this one, and I was in another one when I was working in radio back in, I think it was 1991. I got to see one of the Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles. But it's not the Wienermobile anymore. Oh no, it's the Frankmobile. You kind of wonder what Frank has to say about that. Does Frank see that driving down the street, think to himself, that's about accurate? Just throwing it out there. Anyway. Yeah, it is time for us to kind of get out of here. If you're a regular viewer, unfortunately, there is no top 10 countdown on Hugs 24/7 radio this week, as preparations are still being made for the big move into Connellsville, Pennsylvania. More as that is made available. We appreciate your patience with all that. And again, if you're watching the replay of this, don't hesitate. Leave comments down below. We will get back to you, and that is a promise. And starting next week, we're going to talk about the drive for 500. We'll get into that next week. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Time for this gainer to get up and go. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. In other words, if you like it, hey, you know what to do. We'll see you next week. I'm going to go get me a baloney face mask. We're out. Bye!